Man, what a cool night we have. Yael Averbuch is going to be joining us for a live Q&A. And so you guys, we can ask her lots of questions. As soon as she gets on, she's going to take over and be able to answer questions, and I'm going to help moderate it. So you have to look at my ugly mug, but I'm going to get her on here. Hope you guys are doing well.
Hello.
They are joining in rapid numbers here.
I see people flowing in. Very cool. I'm excited to chat with everyone and answer some questions.
How's New Jersey treating you?
Good. I mean, I could be anywhere right now because I've been in the house, I think, like everyone. So we all could be anywhere pretty much.
Rush Pikes Peak, Georgia Rush, Minnesota Rush, Colorado Rush. We have Alaska Rush. Look at everyone joining.
Very cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna let them join here. Just kind of let them slowly trickle in, and then we'll get started.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Hopefully you guys got some good questions. Missouri Rush, my home club there. All right, so we will get started, and we will start. I'll start with the first question here, and kind of get things rolling. And it's obviously a very simple one. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your amazing career that you've had?
Yeah, of course. So first of all, hi everyone who joined since I initially said hi. Very good to connect with you all around the country. Cool. My name is Yael Averbuch. I grew up in New Jersey playing youth soccer, just like all of you guys. Actually played against some of the Rush clubs. So now we're friends, but at one time we were enemies. And I went on to, so when I was 9, I had the dream of becoming a professional soccer player. And all I ever wanted to do since I was really young. And I went on, I was very serious about what I did. I was the only girl on an all-boys team for a while. I did a lot of training on my own over the years, so I had this goal in my head, and I went on to play college soccer at the University of North Carolina. And after 4 years there, I signed my first professional contract for Sky Blue FC back in New Jersey, where I grew up. And from that point on, I played professionally for 10 years, including clubs all around the U.S. and some time spent internationally. So that's kind of something interesting if you guys want to ask about. I played in Russia, Sweden, a country called Cyprus, which I actually had to look up on the map before I went there. And in addition to that, I'm very proud that I have 26 caps with the U.S. women's national team as well. So I've played with and against all of the women who you cheered on winning the World Cup this past summer, and all the women you watch on TV have been my teammates and opponents over the years. So fast forward to today, I had to step away from playing professionally after the long professional career due, unfortunately, to some health problems. I have an illness called ulcerative colitis, which hopefully none of you guys have even heard of or have anything to do with. It's a digestive thing. So I'm no longer playing professionally, but still very involved in the game on a lot of levels. And I love talking with parents, players, and coaches at the youth level, especially because, like I said, I was there at one point and I had the goal of playing college soccer, playing pro soccer. So I'm very interested in answering your questions about, if you want to do those things it takes, about different aspects of my journey. So you can ask anything and everything. There's nothing off limits here.
All right, very good. So one of the questions I found interesting is Baker asked, was there a beach FC in the places that you went? I don't know why I find that question interesting.
Beach FC? No. So I've heard of Beach FC, but I never played against Beach FC growing up or anything. So maybe, but not ever encountered.
Okay. And then the follow-up one is, Kellen is, what was your favorite game you've ever played in?
Ooh, that's a tough one. You guys are getting right to the hard questions. So I have a lot of favorite games. I've been really fortunate to be part of a number of really big games, like championship games at the professional level, some really important U.S. women's national team games, like World Cup qualifying. But actually, my favorite game was in college, and it was my senior year. It was the national championship my senior year, and we ended up winning the national championship, and it was really special for me because I got to leave college with a victory. And so, we came from behind. It was a really dramatic game. But most importantly is that I concluded my 4 years of college soccer with a win and a national championship. So that game was probably, I'd say, my favorite.
And I do want to ask you about this. And I'm not sure if everyone knows, can you tell us about the NCAA record that you still hold?
Oh, yeah. So actually, I'll tell you about the record. Someone actually beat it, though. So I'm in second place now. Yeah, I know. And I can't even go back and do it again. So in college, I actually held the record for a long time for the NCAA fastest goal in history for men's or women's, because I shot right from the kickoff. Someone brought this up, so you did your research. Yes, game, I saw the goalkeeper was off her line, and I shot it right from the kickoff. And it was one of those things, you never actually expect it to go in. You kind of expect it to be a warning, like, hey, get back on your line. But she kind of backtracked, and it actually went over her head. And so my team and I were in disbelief, and I didn't know it was a record or anything like that, but it was the fastest goal in NCAA history for a long time, until somebody, I think, ran to the ball quicker and drove the ball harder and scored from the kickoff kind of recently in the past couple of years, and actually beat I think mine was in 6 seconds and theirs was 4 seconds or something. So now I have the second fastest goal.
Oh, well, we're going to pretend that goal doesn't exist. We still give you yours is our fastest favorite goal.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I saw Brandon actually commented on that right when I was asking. He actually mentioned that goal. So his follow-up question, what was your favorite goal you ever scored in college?
Yeah, I mean, that one has to be my favorite goal. And it definitely, I didn't realize at the time that it would kind of follow me like this and people would actually know about it. So I'd say there can't be a goal that I scored that beat that one. But yeah, I mean, yeah, none of the others compare. And actually, I wish I had scored more goals as a pro player, but I was kind of more of a holding center midfielder and then eventually moved to center back. So a lot of my goals at the professional level came from free kicks, which I enjoy practicing a lot, but not so many in the run of play. So I wish I could have scored more.
I actually saw one of your goals from a free kick. So one of the questions is who wins, you or Aaron?
Oh, so yeah, you guys have done your research. So Aaron's my husband. And I would say I when we play against each other at things, if I make the field small enough and if I create the game in a way where it suits me, or if we play for long enough, because I'm usually fitter than him, I will beat him. But if it's a bigger field where he can use his strength and speed against me, I pretty much have no chance. So I win because I use the rules.
That's nice. Okay. Okay. So what was your plan B if you didn't go pro?
That's a good one. I didn't have a plan B. I did not believe in needing or wanting but that being said, I've always been a good student. I got good grades. I took care of things in school. So, if I needed to do something else, I always considered myself very capable. It's not that I just ignored everything else in my life. I'm a very disciplined person. I take a lot of pride in the things I do. So in that sense, I think I set myself up for being able to do a number of things, but I never had a plan B career goal. And obviously, yeah, things can happen. You can get injured, like all kinds of horrible things. But I was very determined that it happened, whether it was an injury, a setback, I was cut from a team, all these things happened to me. I was going to keep trying and come back the next year, come back the next time and make it happen. And I think that's really important, is if you really want something, there are very few setbacks that actually need to be an end point, a stopping point to what you do. If you really care and you want to make it happen, in almost all situations, you can come back later. You can keep getting better. You can get healthy from an injury. You can prove to a coach that they should pick you the next out. Coaches change, teams change, things happen. So really, there are very few times as an athlete, especially, but in any career path, where you really just can't make it. And so that was kind of always my mindset, was that no matter what happened, I didn't always succeed. It wasn't easy for me, but no matter what happened, I was always going to find a way to do it.
Very good. So another good question, or I think they're all good questions, is when did you start to love the game?
Ooh, that's a very good one. So I always really enjoyed playing, but I think that there's a difference between just like having fun playing. And I would say from an early age, I enjoyed playing. I liked it. And I was very serious about it because it was my goal to be a professional. So I did all these things. I trained on my own. But actually, when I really started to learn and appreciate the game beyond that was in high school. And I played for a coach. His name is Kazbek Tambi in New Jersey. And this was the team I played for that I think played against some Rush clubs. But so Kaz, we call him Kaz. He loves the sport more than anyone I've ever seen. He actually he played on the Olympic team. So he was on the national team for a little bit and played professionally for the New York Cosmos back in the day when all those great players were playing for the Cosmos, if any of you guys remember that or have seen highlights. And he would play with training. He would show up. He'd be there early every day playing soccer tennis against a buddy or another coach. He would bring guys and his friends, other men he had played professionally with, into our training sessions. And I've never seen anyone just get so much joy out of playing. So I actually learned to love the game through playing with and against Kaz in training and through hearing him talk about the games he was watching on TV, which then I wanted to watch because it sounded so exciting. So I think as a soccer player, there's so much more to it than just your own experience. And sometimes it takes seeing somebody else who loves it and has so much fun when they're playing to be able to appreciate that. So I'd say high school year, I really learned to. It was through seeing somebody else love the game.
Huh, very good. And so you mentioned high school. And one of the questions here is there a reason why you played club instead of high school soccer?
Yeah. Wow. Everyone really did their research. I'm impressed by you guys. So at the time when I was going into high school, I was training and guest playing with a number of boys teams in my area. I had just come from playing. I was the only girl on a boys team. Like that was my actual team, which was a very interesting experience through my middle school years. I'm sure all of you girls and boys who are listening who are around the middle school ages can imagine how awkward it was for me and the boys on my team that I was the only girl on the team. But really I decided when I was going into high school that I had to kind of see what my priorities were. I didn't have time to be trained my own. I was training and playing with these boys teams. So I kind of felt conflicted. Like I didn't have time to do it all and I didn't have the physical energy to do it all. So I made the decision not to play for my high school team, which was a little controversial at the time. Like people weren't really doing that. Like it wasn't play. Some people don't. Pretty much everyone played high school. I've made a few decisions, whether it was playing on the boys, not playing high school soccer, things like that, that have been a little bit different because I was always really clear on my personal goals and was always thinking like, what's going to help me in this situation? And if it didn't really fit within that, I didn't do it or did do it.
Very good. Yeah, that's a big question that we have. And then, so we'll stick with the high school. Talk about your kind of a twofold question is you went to North Carolina. So talk about that recruitment process for North Carolina, and then the jump from high school to the college game.
Yeah, I think one thing that a lot of players realize about the recruiting process, it's a huge deal for soccer players. So for all of you guys who aspire to play college soccer, the really important thing to realize is it's a two-way process. So a lot of players think like, oh, who are you being recruited by? Or like, let me see who contacts me and then I'll pick from those schools. And that's not really the reality of how it works or how anything in life works. You don't always sit back and see who wants you and then you go with that. So I was very active about the process. And that's what I would recommend to you guys listening in is that think about what you want. Do you want to go to a big school or a small school? Do you want to play at a top Division I program? Or do you want to maybe consider some Division II, Division III schools? Do you want to stay close to home or do you want to go far? What type of coach do you want to play for? Also realizing the coach may or may not 4 years while you're at college. So what kind of academic goals do you have? Colleges fit within those things. It's about you thinking and creating reaching out to those schools. I reached out to a number of schools that kind of fit within the criteria of what I was looking for. And I was very focused on the soccer program, what was going to make me the best player. Best soccer program I could go to. I did what they tell you not to, and I just focused on that and not anything. But I think that's the most important that I would say part of my process is it's a two-way street. It's about where you want to be, finding the right fit between that and what opportunities are for you. That's why it's important to have grades so you keep options. And I've seen players who were top recruits, full scholarships, and not even play all 4 years. They quit. And I've seen players who weren't recruited and came as walk-ons become team captains and have a wonderful experience. So I think it seems so important when you want to feel good and rooted. At the end of the day, it's about a place where you want to go for 4 years. You want to get an education for that program and live in that place. What we think of when we're in high school, exciting, and you don't really know what to do. My process was very much two-way. Once I got there, I think the biggest step up, like any step up level, anytime you enter a new environment, up a level, is the intensity. A huge jump in intensity college game. So there's no new skill. Even at the pro level, you guys are learning and have learned all of the basic skills that every soccer player uses. The top players you watch on TV don't have skills that you guys don't have for the most part. And they're not using all the best players are doing the basics that you already know. They're just doing it faster. They're doing it under more pressure, and they're doing it cleaner and sharper. So I think that's what it is. It's about intensity to be able to quicker, cleaner, sharper, just do everything you're already doing, but do it better. And I was like, whoa, okay, I can do all these things, but like I need to do faster. I need to do them while people are sliding in, all kinds of crazy stuff. And that was a big adjustment.
So another question is you talk about the adjustment. What were you doing, from a young age to constantly get better? So what were you thinking doing on your own, and what was kind of that process and things you did to continue to get better?
Yeah. So it's funny. I realized when I heard this quote, and you guys are going to laugh because it's a silly quote, but it stuck with me because I heard it as an adult, but it really, for me, exemplified the way I've lived and trained as a soccer player. The quote is, if you do the same thing as you'll be just like everyone else. And I thought about it, and I was like, wow, you know what? It's so obvious, but we don't really think like that. And a lot of times what I did, I always was doing something more different than the people around me, because what I understood was if there are hundreds of thousands of players out there who want to play professionally or at the national level, realistically, the pyramid gets smaller as you go, and not everyone's going to make it, right? So like everyone wants to play division soccer for college, and some people make it there, some people don't. After that, everyone wants to go pro to make it, and some drop off. They lose interest, they don't make it. Everyone wants to represent play for the national team. Well, some pros try really hard and can't make it. So you get to the very top of the pyramid, and there's a small group there from this huge group of players who all would say they want to be there, but like what differentiates the players who actually get there? And so my whole career, the thing I think that set me apart was that I was always doing more than everyone else. Spending a lot of time on my own, striking the ball, right foot, left foot against the wall, doing repetitions of things, juggling, dribbling, playing in pickup games, 1v1, long balls before and after practice. So I was always doing this extra, a lot of time playing that helped to set me apart over the years. And really, I credit that with allowing me to kind of my dream that I had when I was 9.
Oh, are you still there?
Oh yeah, can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, it went choppy for a second. Okay. I like that's good. I'm glad we're recording this, so I gotta go back and steal some of this stuff. Okay, so and we're going to continue moving on. I want to kind of touch on North Carolina again. We have a hometown girl, Lori, who I think was your teammate.
Yes.
And so she is from St. Louis, and I know some of the girls actually have a call with her afterwards as well. And so they're hoping you could share, because Lori's here at Maryville University in St. Louis, and so we're hoping you could share. They want to know if you could share a good story about Lori.
Okay, yeah. So first of all, tell her I said hi. So just so you guys know, Lori was a senior when I was a freshman in Carolina, and she was everywhere. Like you didn't even need me. I was doing it all, and I was kind of just there because they had. But actually, an interesting story is that so Lori was like, I mean, to me, the best player on the team. She was unbelievable and always kind of like other people would score the cool goals and get all this. So Lori, she left because she was a senior when I was a freshman. So after that season, she was leaving, and she didn't get some of the awards that I felt she deserved. Like she wasn't named National Player of the Year because we had I mean, we had this all national team players in our lineup, and some of them, we had Heather O'Reilly, Lindsay Tarpley, like all these other players that were getting these awards, and very well deserved. But I always thought, wow, Lori should have got, those awards. She should get her jersey retired. And she didn't, just because our team was so stacked and she had kind of done all this dirty work for everyone else. So after my freshman year, I jokingly said to her, I said, I'm going to take your jersey number 17, and I'm going to retire it for you. And like never in my wildest dreams did I actually think I could do that, because there was Lori Kolupny, who was a million times better. And so I wore number 17 for the next 3 years of college. And I actually did end up getting the jersey number retired, but I consider it retired on behalf of Lori, not actually the work I did, because she was just.
One of the questions here is do you like being one of the tallest girls?
For many years, I very much hated it, to be really honest. I now appreciate my height, and I appreciate being tall, but I was really awkward about it for a long time. It was sometimes I feel like a little in certain situations, but I now really appreciate my height, and I appreciate, having long strides as a player has a lot of benefits to it. And I felt an appreciation for it as an athlete, but then also just in social situations and outside the field. So I say now I do like it, but there were certainly times in my life where I struggled with it.
To go pro, what's more important, opportunity and being in high school, being at a high level in clubs, or being skilled and just being good?
Certainly being good is more important, both necessary. But I truly believe if you are good enough, you are really, really good, you can find an opportunity. And it may not come the first time out. It may not come the second time out. It may take years of trying. But if you're doing the right things and you're a really good player, the opportunity will eventually present itself. It's about being patient and not giving up. So I'd say, first and foremost, you can have all the opportunity you want. If you're not good enough, you're not going to make it. You have to be good. You have to be the best player you can be, first and foremost. And then you have to be relentless and not give up and have the grit to keep going to find the opportunity. So you need both, but the opportunity will come if you're good enough.
Did you have any pregame rituals?
Ooh, you guys are good at these questions. No, so I have a tendency to be really superstitious if I get into something like that. So I actually tried to avoid having too many rituals or things, just because I was always traveling for a team across the world, and I never knew kind of what situation I'd be in. So I had this point, I haven't shared this with many people, where I would have to eat, the candy Nerds.
Yeah.
I would have to eat yellow Nerds every time before I played. It was so weird. I don't know why. I think I ate them one time before I played, and I probably played well. And so then I would be in a panic, like if I couldn't find my yellow Nerds. So after that, I realized I need to not have any weird superstitions or rituals. So for me, I always try to, I take what I do so seriously, and I care so much. So I'd always be nervous and kind of amped up. So I would try to always relax, take a nap, stretch, foam roll, do things that were like more chill. I was never the one in the locker room jumping around or getting super pumped up. It's just, that did not help my performance. So no fun rituals after my Nerds days.
That's funny. I just had a whole thing of Nerds today. So you, where is it here? So what do you miss most about your time from playing pro?
Well, I haven't been gone from it that long, thank goodness. But, I miss, part of a team. I think that's one thing that you guys will realize is you should really appreciate is your teammate. My teammates over the years have been some of my best friends. I have never laughed so much as when I'm on a team and with some of, funny teammates. And I think that part, I'll always play the game. I'll always, have the ball by my feet. But the team part is something that you really can't replicate. And so really appreciate it while you have it, guys, is that there's nothing better than a team that you win together, you lose together, you do fitness together, all the hard stuff and the fun stuff together with your teammates, I think is the best thing.
And you talk about a team, and you played with, you mentioned the U.S. Women's National Team. What was that like, putting on the red, white, and blue and playing for your national team?
Yeah, it's the ultimate honor. And for me, it was always my ultimate goal. I fell short of, I'll tell you guys this honestly, I fell short of some of my personal goals. I wanted to play in a World Cup and in an Olympics, and I never quite made an Olympic team or World Cup team. I was always kind of part of the player pool, and then I'd be cut before those big events. So I so appreciate the time I had with that team. I mean, there is literally no better team in the world than our U.S. women's national team. And so it is absolutely an honor anytime you can put on that jersey and step on the field. You know, I never took a moment for granted. But at the same time, I had goals to, you know, really solidify my spot in a way that I never did, and to play in those big tournaments in a way. So that's something I'm not shy about. It's okay to set goals and to not quite reach them, but I really believe I never would have had the opportunity if I didn't have those goals. So I think it's really important to acknowledge that. And I always, you know, I now try to, if people ask me, I try to be honest about it with people and say, you know what, I feel honored and I had a wonderful experience, but at the same time I fell short and I had a lot of frustration, and it was a constant tryout process that was very stressful over the years. So there's, you know, I'm very open and honest about that.
Very good. And we got a comment from Emma that she loves your videos with Tobin Heat.
Thank you.
So, and that will kind of lead into those kind of lead into the next question is, you know, some of the players on the U.S. national team, or your favorite player that you've played with.
Yeah, well, this is a hard one because there's so many that I could name on this list. Probably, I've been asked this before, but I would say probably my favorite teammate of all time, if I had to pick one, which is an absurd thing to ask me to do. But Heather O'Reilly has been one of my favorite teammates. I think, you know, we're very good friends. Our styles on and off the field really complement each other. And we also have that kind of, you know, when you're really good friends with some competitive tension, like we sometimes want to rip each other's heads off, but at the same time, I think really respect each other. So for me, I always think of her first when people ask about, you know, some of my favorite teammates. But I've been teammates with some of the most extraordinary people I could possibly think of meeting. So my list would be long if I actually could name them all.
Who is the toughest opponent you ever played against?
Okay, well, I would say that in the women's game, I've never played against somebody as dominant as Marta. And I think now she's an older player, so maybe it's not quite as apparent as it was a little bit ago, but she's another level than any woman I think I've ever played with or against. I've been on her team and against her. But actually, so I finished my career as a center back. I was always a center midfielder and a more attacking player, and I finished as a center back. And as a center back, the most difficult player I ever played against was Kristen Press. I think he had played against some of the best forwards in the world as a center back, and for me, she was like, her runs were smart, her spacing was good, she's fast, her first touch was good, her finishing is good. It's like, you can't do anything. So it was a frustrating experience as a defender against her. Wow.
And for those of you, Marta played, that's from Brazil. Yeah, was one of the FIFA Player of the Year. So that's where Marta. Now, where did you play with Marta? Where did you play with her at?
Yeah, if you guys haven't watched Marta play, definitely look her up. I played with her when I played for Western New York. So there's a team in Marta played out of Rochester, New York, in the previous women's league called WPS, and we won a championship there together. But then for many of my years playing, I played against her. Unfortunately,
they're asking a ton of questions. Is walk and lift 780? So I apologize for butchering that, but they're asking a lot of good questions, and they brought up the overseas. So where did you play overseas, and then kind of talk about that process there?
Yeah. So I played, like I mentioned just before, there was a league in the U.S. for women called WPS that actually folded. So there was no professional league for women to play in the U.S. For a year of my career. And during that time, I first went and played in Russia for a month, which was a very bad experience. And so then I came home after that. I played for a team that we were in Champions League, Women's Champions League, which was very cool, but it was a terrible experience. Came home for a while, and then I went and played for a club in Gothenburg, Sweden. And I absolutely loved that. I played there for a year and a half. So I lived in Sweden for a year and a half. Really wonderful team to play for, wonderful country to live in. And then that was the most long-term thing I did overseas. And then I also played for a month, like I said before, in Cyprus. I played for a team again that was in Champions League. I went there one off season when I was playing in NWSL. I went guest played or signed on to the Champions League. Unfortunately, we didn't go to the round, so then I came home after that.
Okay, and I apologize. Name is Wally. So, thank you. They're asking a lot of good questions there too. So, and now, what is your biggest goal in your current job? So currently, you're the NWSL Players Association president. What are some of your goals with that?
Yeah. So, for those of you who kind of don't know what that is, we have a players association in the professional league that basically represents the interests of all the players in the league. And actually myself and some other active players, when we were playing professionally, formed this organization to kind of give us a voice as players, as the league made decisions as things were going on, so we could have representation. And now I myself and another former player, recently retired player named Brooke Elby, we serve together as what's called the executive director of this organization. So basically it just means we're in charge of it. So really we look out for players, and I think we have three roles, and this is really interesting for those of you who want to play professionally. This is very important to understand, is that the Players Association, number one role is to make sure the players have a place to go to get their questions answered. We have players coming from overseas, rookies in the league, so basically players have a place to get their questions answered, and we can support them in that. Also, we work directly with the league to make sure we speak on behalf of the players when the league is making decisions. So when they're setting the schedule, when they're planning out the league, well, can the players have a part in that planning? So that's part of our role. And then the third part is something I feel really strongly about, and this is kind of speaks a little bit to the state of women's soccer right now. But fortunately or unfortunately, during my time as a player, I had to have other jobs and other second sources of income on the side to make enough money to live. And that's the reality of what it's like to be a professional player in a lot of different situations, unless you're at the top level, representing the national team, or a top MLS player. A lot of players need coaching, run camps and clinics, and that's the reality of the job right now. So hopefully women's soccer gets to a point where nobody needs to do that unless they want to. But part of what we do as a players association is to guide the players in the league to help if they need a second source of income, to help them get their coaching licenses, continue their education, kind of do things parallel to their playing to help keep them active and, transition into a next career after your time playing. Because another thing that you guys might not realize, but when you say a player retires, you don't just get to sit back and go on vacation to a tropical island for 3 years. You got to get right into another job. So, helping the players to do that and to start to think about that. And that's, right now, even if you're a young player, it's important to think about what other things do you like doing, because even if you go all the way and you play professionally for 15 years, eventually you're going to have a second career. So it's important to think, do you want to stay in the game involved? Do you want to be a commentator? Do you want to be a coach, own a team? Do you want to do something else and own your own business? Do you want to be a doctor, lawyer after? You could do anything, but all of us as soccer players will have another career unless you're, like Messi or make it that big, which in that case, I need your autograph.
Yeah, well, and that's one of the questions I'll ask is Messi or Ronaldo?
Messi. I love Messi. I mean, you can't go wrong with either of those players, but to me, Messi has something. I'll say this is the way I think of it, and people might disagree, so you can feel free to comment if you disagree. Ronaldo, to me, when I watch him, he's phenomenal, but he has all these skills that look like they're things that we all practice, but he just does them so well. Like, he's so fast. He does the scissors move we all know. These moves we know. Messi, to me, when he plays, does things that are like not even things we practice or we know. It's this other realm of capability that to me looks like something that wasn't practiced. It looks like some natural gift that is, it's almost like unfathomable to me. So that's why I say him, but I love watching them both.
Very, very good. And then, so I'm gonna stick with the NWSL, and then who are some promising upcoming young players that have potential to be world class?
Ooh, that is a great one. So I think there are a lot of them. That's one of, I think, the best parts of women's soccer in our country is that the depth of talent. Like, we have some amazingly talented players. So I look at like some of my favorites. Tierna Davidson.
Yeah.
Been at center back mostly. She played outside back a little, coming out of Stanford University. To me, like the quality to potentially be, one of the best in the world at that position. If you look at, I'm trying to think like kind of somebody in each spot, but it's hard to do. So we look at more of attacking players. Well, let's see what young players do you guys like watching? We'll put some comments in there and then I'll talk about them a little. But I would say Tierna Davison is my favorite younger player. And you know what? If any of you watch the College Cup on both the men's and women's side, but I'm speaking specifically to the women's side, I think Stanford to me has some players out that I think we should all keep an eye on, like really, really exciting players to watch. So yeah, my sister actually played college soccer at Stanford, but I'm not partial to them because of that. I just actually think the players coming out of there are really impressive.
Yeah, they're fun to watch. So one of the things, guys, we're going to continue to ask questions, and so if there's younger players that are currently playing that you've seen, feel free to post it, and we'll jot that down and we'll let her comment on that as well. So we're going to go back. We've gotten this questions a couple times. So two questions. Why did you move from holding mid to center back, and do you like playing the defense or midfield more? Kind of lump those two together.
Yeah. So I was always, my whole career considered myself a midfielder, and actually in probably my 7th year as a professional player. So imagine I played my entire career as a midfielder only, never played defense. Defending was actually, I would say 100% one of my weaknesses. Every evaluation I ever had was work on your defending. And then actually one pro season I was playing for FC Kansas City. That team no longer exists, unfortunately, but Becky Sauerbrunn left to go play in the Olympics. So our coach, who some of you guys may know of now, Vlatko Andonovski, he's now the U.S. women's national team coach. He was our club. I actually laughed because I thought he was joking with me because I'm usually really bad at defending. So I was like, that's a mean joke. Come on. Don't mess with me like that. And he was serious. And so I very reluctantly stepped in, and actually over the next 3 years of my career learned to really appreciate the position. I wish I had 7 more years to play as a pro where I could have explored it more and continued to play. I would have picked, if you asked me, now you're going to go play a professional game or a professional season, where do you want to play? I'd say center back. But for the majority of my career, I certainly would have never, ever picked playing in the back over in the midfield. But now I think, I prefer it. I really, really love and appreciate the position.
And then I'll follow up with this question here. What are your tips for playing midfield? And I guess for playing your position, because you're a central mid. So what are your tips for playing a central midfield?
Yeah, I think it's all about knowing your strengths. So there's so many different things that can make a midfielder really great, and that's one of the reasons. At the end of the day, a forward is great if they score goals. A defender is great if they are able to shut down play. At the bottom line. But a midfielder can be great for a wide variety of reasons. And so I think there is not one single way to play midfield well. And same thing with all positions. So I'd say it's identifying your strengths as a player and allowing them to come out on the field. And that's one of the hardest things to do, I think, is to consistently bring your strengths to the game and then learn to make your weaknesses better or compensate for them by using your strengths. And so for me as a player, I was more of a distributor. I wasn't a running midfielder who was going to get everywhere on the field. Like I talked about Lori Kolepny earlier. She did that. I wasn't an amazing tackler. I'm very tall, but I wasn't superb at winning headers or anything. The ball came to my feet, I'd play quickly, combine, and I could switch the point of the attack. I played really good long balls. When I was at my best, it was finding ways to free up space to switch, to do a long switch, or to free up space for a long-range shot. So for me, it was always finding ways and getting in positions on the field to use the things that made me. I'd say that's true for any midfielder. If you're great at breaking up play and tackling, be in the position to always be doing that. If you're great at shooting, get into the box, get in those opportunities. If it's linking your teammates, always be available, be that link. So I wish actually that I had spent more time trying to just focus on the things I did well rather than trying to be someone I was not sometimes and be all of those things. So it's important to be well-rounded, but at the same time, like, be you and do what you do well.
Very good. Okay. And then, so what was your biggest hurdle you had going pro, and how did you overcome it?
So I would say that I was very fortunate because I was drafted to play pro right out of college. So I signed a professional contract like kind of right away. Where some players, will leave college soccer, and there's some years where they're searching and trying to sign a pro contract, which is also, there's not one route to get there. My biggest challenges actually came once I was already technically a pro, but I actually, just because I achieved that and I was a professional, I actually had a really, really tough experience. Like my first season as a pro, I was not very successful. I wasn't a starter. I had some real ups and downs. I think that I would say my biggest challenge was being a good pro. And I think it's about consistency. It's about learning your confidence. Really hard when everything in your career is riding on your performance in practice and in games. It's not like now if you have school and other activities where like you can distract yourself and go to something else, you have a bad practice as a pro. And that's all you did that day. That was your contribution to the world that day sometimes. And that's a scary feeling. So for me, as a pro, I was cut from teams. I sat on the bench, didn't even play 1 minute in games. I also had great experiences where I started and had good times, but there were certainly obstacles and hurdles where I was very unhappy with my performance or unhappy with my role on the team, and I had to navigate those as a pro. And it's not easy. It's the same things that you guys go through now. They happen with pro players as well, and it's that much more pressure, and it matters that much more because it's your career and it's your life at that point. So I think that, I would say my path to becoming a pro kind of went decently smoothly. Being a pro certainly was not smooth for me, and it was not easy.
Okay, and we'll do a couple more questions here because I know this could go on all night. When you played in front of a large crowd, how do you stay positive after making a mistake?
Yes, it's tough. We're talking about the mental side of the game. Kind of what I was mentioning is that these are mental skills that I think you guys can start to learn now. And it's you practice those skills not in front of a crowd for when you are in front of one. And I think the most important thing about making a mistake in a game is to realize, and this is something I wish I could go back and tell myself when I was playing, because I wasn't perfect. It's a contribution to the game is how many good things you do. So if you do 100 things in the game and 50 of them are really good, that's excellent. If you only do 10 things in the game and only 5 are good, that's not that many good things. So the key I would always try to remind myself is to just keep going and do more actions, be part of more things. Don't shy away. Don't make a mistake and then think like, oh, I don't want to get the ball again, or I don't want to take another shot because that was embarrassing. The more things you do, people remember the good ones. You remember the bad ones after, but everyone else remembers the good ones. So the more things you do, the more chances some of it's going to be good. And that's simply the way the game works, especially we were talking about as a midfielder. The more times you get the ball, the better. There's no exception to that. It's never like you're going to make a lot of mistakes. And I think it's very hard as a player. And it's some of those things are mental skills that are best developed now because the pressure only gets higher when there's a crowd or when there's a professional contract on the line, the national team coach is watching, whatever it is. That is a harder time to learn the skills of just kind of move on to the next play. So if you can do that now, you'll get in the good habit of it so that when there is a big crowd, it's just your habit.
That's a great answer again. Do you see social media playing more of a role with players in the future in high school, in college, and professionally?
Certainly. I mean, it already plays a much bigger role than when I was coming up through the game. I think the bottom line is that video is a way to see. It's not, social media is not really a way to get a pro contract or anything like that. And I hope it never becomes like that. But getting video of yourself playing, highlight tapes, developing your personal brand through social media means something. And it means something certainly as a pro player, but also in your aspiration to play in college or be a pro player. It's a way that you can start to define yourself and share things about yourself that are indicative of who you are and what skill sets you have to offer the game. So I think you should always be really conscious of keep highlights. If you have videos of yourself, post them. Post yourself training doing things like that if you're comfortable, because I think that's a way that you can highlight, what makes you special and what makes you different.
Very good. Very good. And then is juggling important? And what's your record if so?
Yeah. So you can become a great player without being great at juggling. But I would say that if you are looking to get better as a player, juggling is one of the most important skills that you should master. And what juggling helps you with is, you're never going to stand on the field and juggle the ball over and over, maybe unless you're a Brazilian player and you're juggling it over someone's head. But it's there are many benefits to it. One, it has to do with balance and coordination, becoming two-footed. Actually, the striking the ball with your laces is a very similar technique to how you juggle, especially if you work on some higher touches or using different surfaces of the foot. I think that also juggling for me represents a really important learning process. It represents having the patience to stick with something and master it. And I think that as a player, you must have that patience and the ability to do that work on your own if you want to make it to the highest level. So if you're bad at juggling, one, there's no magic to it. That just means you haven't spent time doing it. And if you're good at juggling, it means you have spent time doing it. And that time spent to learn the skill is irreplaceable. That you will have to do over and over again with various skills in the game. And so to me, juggling is one of the most important skills you can learn, not so that you stand there and juggle for hours and hours, thousands of juggles once you can do it. Then that's when you challenge yourself. You take higher touches, you take lower touches, you use, different surfaces like I mentioned. And that's why I think, run with the ball while you're juggling. But all those skills, like there are very, very few players at the top who can't do those things. And there's a reason.
Okay. We're going to do a couple short answers, and then we're going to let you get back to your life. It is Taco Tuesday in Cinco de Mayo. So do you like hard shell or soft shell tacos better?
That's funny because my sister is staying with my husband and I right now, and she's actually making us tacos right now. So, so shout out to her. And she's making soft shell ones. I will say I love all food, so I'm really not picky, but I'll go.
Very good. Okay. Do you do refried beans on your tacos?
I do like refried beans. Yes.
Okay. Say what?
These are good questions.
Do you have any pets?
I have a dog named Ajax.
Ajax. Okay. What was your favorite World Cup game?
Ooh, of this past Women's World Cup?
Sure.
We'll go with that. I was actually at the final, so that was my favorite game. It was pretty amazing.
Nice. Okay, very good. Okay, yeah, pets. And then someone posted, and I had someone research this, so they want to say congratulations for your pregnancy.
5 months pregnant. When you guys, I did want to say this. When you guys, hopefully you'll all join me for the live training session I'm going to do on Thursday for you guys. But please bear with me. You can all do it faster and better than me because I can still demonstrate. I can still play, but I am 5 months pregnant, so I might be moving a little slower than normal. So just don't me.
Someone, I'll tell you the truth, someone posted in pregnancy, and I messaged someone, one of our social media directors, and said, hey, can you verify this? Because is this a secret? Like, it's someone else, and so they had to verify real fast. So, but so congratulations on that. And then last one, and then we're going to let you go is we kind of mentioned before, is how did you hear about the Rush, and any last minute tips that you can provide to our players across Rush Nation?
Yeah, so I've always known about the Rush. You guys are a historic group in soccer in this country. So like I said, I grew up playing against Rush teams always, and you guys have an awesome presence literally all around the country. I always hear about Rush clubs. And part of the reason I wanted to, make myself accessible during this difficult time for you guys is because I really respect what you're doing and the fact that you guys work to provide these kind of opportunities for your players and people to listen in. So I'm very happy to connect with you guys. And I guess some last advice I would say, and this is mostly geared towards players, but I think for coaches, parents, it could really be something that's applicable in life itself. I think I kind of mentioned, find what makes you special or different and make that the absolute best in the world. And I would say from playing professionally, all the players at the top on the U.S. Women's National better, absolutely world class, better than anyone else. And that, at the end of the day, is what will set you apart and be most enjoyable about what you do, because it's always fun to do the things that you do well. So I think, yeah, be well-rounded, focus on your weaknesses, but figure out what makes you special and really, really focus on that.
Very good. So I do want everyone to know, because I do think it's an important point for you to know, is for the players to know, is that players are listening and they're going to watch recorders, that she reached out to us to provide, to do this Q&A and help with the live training. So I think that from someone, you know, at your level and you know, your role in U.S. soccer, I think that's so. I've been really impressed by just you as a person, that you want to reach out and do this and volunteer your time. And it's not something that we had to track you down and beg you. There's something you reached out to. So thank you for taking the time. I mean, this has been really cool. So I wanted everyone to know that this was all you.
My pleasure, and it's been awesome to hear you guys' questions and see the interaction on here. Really, really good questions. Very enjoyable speaking with you. So I'm glad to connect.
And then Thursday, we're doing a live training session. And also, you have an app that is not the reason that you are doing this, but you have an app that is very good. And then we'll talk about that, and then we'll be out of here.
Yeah, sounds good. So yeah, first of all, I'm looking forward to the live training session. Make sure, you know, if you're listening in, please join on Thursday, same time, and tell your teammates, you know, it's going to be fun. It's going to be something that you guys do. If you're outside and you can go to a yard or schoolyard or backyard or something, that's great. But it's also, if you need to do it at home and you can't leave home, it's going to be something you can do in a really small space. So it'll be accessible for everyone to try. And yeah, my current job, which I don't even consider a job because it's still in soccer, is I have an app called Techni Football, and I'll tell you guys a little bit more about it, you know, after the live session maybe. But if you want to check it out, it's TECHNIFUTBOL, and so you guys can check that out. It's based on all the things I did over the years and some of the stuff we're going to do on Thursday that will allow you guys as players to take ownership over your own personal journey and your development. It's all individual skill work, which again, like I said earlier, is what I credit with allowing me to set myself apart to play at the highest level. So it's giving back all those tools that I was taught over the years to other players. Very good.
And can you see the comments?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So I'm going to end. I'm going to let you guys say whatever you want. Say thank you. I'll let her read the comments. I don't have to read what you guys say. So yeah, I'll let you read the comments of people saying thank you. And I've seen some really cool things that people are saying. So guys, feel free to say thank you and any comments that you have left, and we'll let her get on with her Taco Tuesday.
Yeah. I'll check out. I appreciate you guys. You're very welcome for all of you saying thank you. It's been great to meet you. I hope to see you again on Thursday. So this will not be goodbye. But yeah, I'll stay on for a few minutes and read any comments, and then we'll see you guys on Thursday.
There's someone put you're my favorite. You're the biggest inspiration. That was neat too.
Honored. So thank you guys. You guys are great. Yeah. So like I said, Thursday, all you're gonna need is, and I'll we can put this out before, but all you're gonna need is, like I say, a marker, because it can be a or like a water bottle, a sock, anything, like one thing, and a soccer ball. Contemplating whether I'm going to include a tennis ball maybe, but I think just a soccer ball and a marker. We'll keep it really simple so everyone can do it, and it'll hopefully be a lot of fun. So I see someone's asked what my juggling record is. So at one point, I have a funny story with this. This will be my last quick thing. My juggling record is 3,050. For those of you who have gotten really comfortable with juggling, once you can do a few hundred, you can keep going. Like it's 500 juggles, you can do 6,000 juggles. It's a matter of standing there to do it. So I don't recommend just standing there and juggling thousands of times. But actually, the reason I did it is because Heather O'Reilly, who I mentioned earlier, doubted me or didn't believe that I could do 3,000 juggles. So I went outside like right when she said it, and I did 3,050, and I came back and I said, "Ha, I did it." So we had a little tiff about that. But yeah, I see Bree, who I know has been commenting a lot. Really appreciate it. I met Bree at an ECNL event at one point, and we had a skill challenge that she absolutely crushed. It was how many alternating feet juggling you could do in a minute, and Bree blew us away. So
Wow, good job, Bree. Bree, what rush club are you with? Oh, she's going to Grambling. Good for her.
Cool. Well, thank you guys again. I'll see you all Thursday. Hopefully tell your teammates.
You were just watching a live Q&A interview with NWSL Player Association's Executive Director, Yael Averbuch. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to stay updated on our latest videos.